Seiichi is a fat, smelly, ugly loser who gets bullied by everyone in his high school. However, God decides to take pity on him and gives him a harem of beautiful anime waifus. The anime starts with Seiichi being bullied by his classmates as usual as he breaks his desk due to being too heavy. Without his desk, he has to sit on the floor, which incurs ridicule from everyone. While he is crying on the floor begging for mercy, suddenly an announcement from the speaker forces everyone to sit on their chairs. The person on the speaker announces himself to be the god and informs them that he will be sending all of them to an ice sky world to fight and protect the world, before skating their asses to another world. He grants them the ability to check their statuses and even gives them an item box as a beginner reward. He also advises them to group up together as it will cause them to be teleported to the new world as a whole single group. While everyone is teaming up, Seiichi can't believe what is happening and asks the few boys around him if he can join them. At first, they get disgusted by his stench coming from all that sweat hidden under his fat folds. But out of caution, they decide to check his status to see if he is worthy to join them. However, this makes matters even worse for Seiichi as his status is even worse than that of a newborn baby. Aside from all of his stats being 1, his species are barely human, which earns him ridicule from everyone once again. He is kicked to the side by his classmates after they all stand together and are said to the new world. Meanwhile, Seiichi still lies down crying in the corner due to his misery. The god is about to leave as well, but he notices Seiichi lying on the floor, so he checks his status and can't help but control his laughter. He is also very saddened by the behavior of his classmates towards Seiichi, so he gives him a special skill and ice skies him to the new world as well. In the new world, Seiichi has been traveling on his own for 5 days and is lost in the giant forest. These 5 days, he hasn't been able to secure any food, much less fight the strong enemies of the jungle. He drags his fat ass through the thick bushes as he looks for food, but his fat body is too tired to move and falls, leaving him even more miserable. He curses the god who sent him to this world alongside all of his ancestors when he suddenly spots a caterpillar crawling on the ground. Out of extreme hunger, even the disgusting caterpillar seems scrumptious in Seiichi's eyes as he starts to crawl towards it. However, he is kicked in the head by several monkeys who disappear into the thick bushes of the giant forest. Seiichi's caterpillar also disappears without a trace, which leaves him on the verge of crying. However, just when he is about to give up, he spots a fruit lying on the ground and immediately crawls towards it. This time, fortunately, there are no accidents as he finally manages to get hold of this odd-looking fruit. Seiichi is contemplating whether to eat it or not when he remembers that he was given the appraisal skill by God and decides to test it. He appraises the fruit, which turns out to be a fruit of evolution. Aside from the name, there is nothing else written in the detail, so Seiichi just takes a bite of the fruit, which turns out to be extremely disgusting in taste. Seiichi wants to puke in disgust, but he remembers that he won't find anything to eat soon, so he bears with himself and eats it whole. This fills his stomach somewhat as he won't have to crawl on the ground anymore. While he is complaining about its taste, he hears a voice in his head, which informs him that the effects of the fruit of evolution will commence. At first, Seiichi thinks that he has gone crazy as he fears that he might be schizophrenic, but after a while, he realizes that it's the voice of the system and waits for the effect. However, even after waiting for hours, nothing happens, so Seiichi just decides to explore further. He crawls into the bushes and finds the monkeys stocking up the fruits of evolution as they grind some herbs into fine potions. Seiichi uses his appraisal skill to see their levels and is shocked to find they are level 120. He is only level 1, which is a huge shock to him. He is about to leave when he notices a commotion in the distance, and the monkeys seem to run towards it as well. Taking the opportunity of their disappearance, Seiichi jumps down and decides to eat all the fruits and steal the potion. However, the fruits are too much for him to carry, but he remembers that he has an item box skill, so he places the fruits into his inventory as he uses his appraisal skill to test the potion. The potions turn out to be high-grade recovery potions, so Seiichi steals them as well as praises himself for being lucky. Meanwhile, somewhere far away, the other students are teleported as well, and they look around their surroundings and try to calm themselves. Among the students there is a group of 2 siblings, Shouta and Miu, and alongside him is Kenji as well. They are greeting each other when they spot another beautiful girl rejecting a group of boys who want to pair with her. The beautiful girl is Karen, who seems to know the siblings as she informs them that Seiichi was teleported to a different location, which causes them a headache as they can't help but feel concerned for that useless fat ass. Meanwhile, Seiichi has been constantly appraising different items and consuming them, which has granted him various resistances and skills, but still doesn't know how they work. After consuming a poisonous mushroom, he is lying down on the ground in pain when he brings out the fruit of evolution from his inventory and consumes it. He then brings the last one remaining as well and eats it as well when he finds that nothing has happened despite him consuming 9 of them. He is lamenting his luck when suddenly he hears the notification about his appraisal skill being upgraded to advanced appraisal, but before he can celebrate, he is attacked by a random monkey. Seiichi is still level 1, so the damage is insane as he starts to bleed out from all of his holes. He immediately brings out the high-grade recovery potion and drinks it as he once again jumps into the fight with the monkey. However, the monkey is too strong and beats him once again and moves closer with a menacing expression. Seiichi worries that the monkey might eat him, so he decides to use his ultimate move, his disgusting stench. The monkey can't bear this extremely disgusting move and immediately dies out of cringe. In his place, a chest and a few items are placed. Seiichi remembers that this must be the complete harvest skill given to him by the god and immediately uses the few items that give him some skills as well as the book that knows about the crazy monkeys. After reading the book, Seiichi learns that the monkeys are extremely crafty, known for their crafting skills. While he is reading the book, he suddenly feels extreme pain in his body and faints. When he wakes up, Seiichi finds that he has become slimmer and is not smelly anymore, at least not that smelly compared to a while ago. He celebrates his rebirth as he looks at his status, which has multiplied by a lot. He also notices the evolution section, which shows that 9 more evolutions are remaining. Seiichi gets terrified as even the first evolution caused him so much, else the other evolutions who will do God knows what things to him. But he is also very excited for the future as he is finally not fat anymore and can pull bitches and form a harem. 5 months go by as Seiichi continues to explore the forest and becomes stronger. However, he is still level 1 despite all of this, but he is stronger than even some level 300 mobs in the forest. Currently, he is being faced by a wolf monster which he defeats with a kick on the head. The monster drops magic skill which grants him water magic as well as a spirit dagger. Before he can celebrate his joy of becoming a mage, his evolution commences, which starts to reform his body from within. Seiichi wakes up from the extreme pain as he looks at his status, which shows that only one last evolution is remaining. Just when he is thinking about what will happen to him after he completes all the evolutions, he is attacked by a pink female gorilla who seems to know human language. She challenges Seiichi to a fight, but he is too cowardly as he knows that the pink gorilla is a level 700 boss. Seiichi is beaten up by the pink gorilla and is kidnapped by her and taken to her lair. In the lair of the pink gorilla, Seiichi is forced to act as her husband. She feeds him with food that is very delicious and also sews new clothes for him. Seiichi seems to be enjoying all this treatment, but this won't change the fact that they are of different species. He wants to escape and find a way out, but the pink gorilla won't give him a chance. Seiichi calls the pink gorilla a brute gorilla, but she tells him that her name is Saria. Seiichi is shocked to learn that a massive gorilla like her can have such a beautiful name. He asks her how she can speak human language, so Saria answers him that she found some books in a dark magic cave nearby which taught her a lot about humans. She gives these precious books to Seiichi like they are trash, which shows her love for him. Seiichi opens the books and is shocked to learn that they contain so much knowledge. There is even a spell to make fire for cooking and a spell to use water and wind to clean clothes and bodies instantly. Seiichi can learn these skills instantly with the help of his system. While Seiichi is lost in the book, Saria tells him to eat his food before it gets too cold. However, Seiichi is creeped out by her behavior and asks Saria to act like a damn gorilla, but she tells him that she is Saria, not a damn gorilla. Later on, Seiichi sits by the riverside as Saria hunts fish for him. Seiichi looks at her and smiles as he can't help but fall in love with her. She is too caring and even deeply loves him, but that won't change the fact that they are of different species and that their love won't ever be accepted by society. Seiichi notices that Saria is busy, so he thinks to himself that it's the best time for him to run away. He quietly sneaks away, but in front of his face is a giant spider who wants to eat Seiichi's baby. Seiichi screams in fear as Saria quickly jumps towards him and beats the shit out of the spider. She asks Seiichi if he's okay, which puts him in a dilemma once again, which hurts his kind soul to reject such a gorilla. Later, Seiichi is at the pink female gorilla's lair where she is eating food with Seiichi when she remembers that today is exploration day, so she needs to head outside. Seiichi asks her what is an exploration day, to which Saria replies that it's a day when she and her clever monkeys head to the jungle to look for the fruits of evolution. The fruit of evolution allows them to evolve, but the limit is only 10. If someone eats the 11th fruit, they will probably die by exploding. Seiichi gets shivers as fortunately he only ate 10 as well. He also realizes that the fruits of evolution he stole that day probably belonged to Saria. So he gets on his knees and apologizes to Saria that it was him who stole those fruits and ate them. However, instead of getting angry, Saria just laughs as she tells him that she is harvesting those fruits for her future husband, as she has already eaten 10 of them before and can't consume more. Seiichi heaves a sigh of relief but gets panicked the other moment when Saria mentions that he has eaten her fruits of evolution, so that means that he must marry her now. She even puts on a bride dress which creeps out Seiichi as he asks her to put it away. After tormenting Seiichi with her weird sense of humor, Saria leaves for her exploration day, which allows Seiichi to escape as well. He runs in a single direction and keeps on running till he can eventually find the end of the forest. Meanwhile, the students from Earth are having a rough time in the human kingdom as they are forced to train day and night. This upsets most of them, but when they are summoned to this world, the emperor of the nearby empire calls them to his palace where he tells them that they are here to assist the empire in defeating the demon lord. The students aren't allowed to have their own opinions as they are put in barracks and trained by the royal guards. Some students complain that their trainers put them in their place after making them realize that they are still weak. On the other hand, Karen and the others are still a bit better as they are training hard constantly to get stronger. Karen has even become a role model for all students as they look up to her. Back in the ancient forest of the beasts, Seiichi is running at a high speed as he praises the freedom of being able to do whatever he wants. However, his ambitions are laid to rest by Saria, who catches the whim that Seiichi has escaped and chases after him. Seiichi is baffled as to how she found him, so he hurriedly uses his movement technique to run quickly and find a hiding spot to hide. Fortunately, he notices a cave nearby and walks into it despite Saria warning him to not go inside. Seiichi walks inside the cave, which feels gloomy and gives creepy vibes. However, he still enters it and he finds a giant door in front of him. Seiichi opens the door and heads inside where he finds a skeleton resting on a chair. The skeleton speaks in the human tongue despite not having one. He is excited that someone is finally here, but he didn't expect that someone to be a human. He challenges Seiichi to a duel, which Seiichi accepts as he uses his appraisal skill to check the skeleton's level. The skill shows the skeleton's name, which is Xenos, as well as his level, which is only level 1. Seiichi laughs at him, to which Xenos replies to check again as Seiichi's appraisal skill glitches and then shows level 15, which scares the crap out of him. Xenos doesn't give Seiichi time to recover as he immediately attacks him. Seiichi wants to dodge, but he is too slow and is about to be pierced by his sword, but Saria comes in between them and sacrifices her own life to save Seiichi. Seiichi starts to cry and asks Saria as to why she did it when he didn't even love her. Saria tells her that Seiichi was kind to her. Despite being a human, he didn't have a disdain towards her, and the time she spent with him was the best. Seiichi starts to cry as tears fall down his cheeks. Saria asks him to not cry and asks him to smile one last time for her. Seiichi gives a creepy smile as Saria finally takes her last breath in his arms. Xenos is surprised to see a forbidden love between a human and a gorilla, which angers Seiichi as he asks him to keep his wife's name out of his fucking mouth. In his anger, Seiichi's stats rise like crazy as he can fight Xenos head on. Xenos is surprised by his skills as well and starts to take him seriously. The fight goes on till eventually, Seiichi can unlock a new skill that allows him to travel at a very fast speed, which gives him an advantage, and he can defeat Xenos, thus freeing him from the world of living. Seiichi heads back to Saria, who seems to be glowing. She gives him her final farewell and is about to disintegrate as Seiichi kisses her on her thick gorilla lips. However, suddenly the light brightens up, and when Seiichi opens his eyes, he finds that Saria has transformed into a beautiful girl with big melons and nicely shaped peaches. Seiichi is shocked and can't believe his eyes as he looks at her beautiful figure. He quickly averts his eyes when his gaze falls toward the chest dropped by Xenos. He opens it up and learns all the skills, as well as gets a few items from the chest, out of which is a school shirt which he throws towards Saria so she can wear it. He also finds a book inside the chest which tells him about the story of Xenos, how he was betrayed by his empire and left it with his maid whom he fell in love with. But that maid died at the hands of the empire, which led him to become a monster as he took her to a cave and disappeared there forever. Both Seiichi and Saria cry after reading his story and discussing him when Seiichi suddenly starts to roll on the floor like crazy as his final evolution commences. The final evolution makes him even cooler as he becomes very handsome. Just then, a sheep dressed in magician's clothes descends from the sky and introduces itself as Mr. Sheep. After that, it gives a few presents to Saria and Seiichi, which is a beautiful dress and a helmet, before teleporting them to a faraway location. Saria and Seiichi open their eyes and find that they are outside of the forest. They both hold each other's hands and start to walk in a direction in hopes of finding a city. As they are making their way towards the city, Seiichi thinks about having a chance to see Karen and others, as they have also been told to this world. However, his internal monologue is stopped when they are confronted by a cute-looking slime whose level is not cute at all. Although slimes are supposed to be the weakest creatures in the magic world, this slime right here is level 88. Rimuru would be proud of this slime, but before it can grow any further, it is destroyed by a full-force attack from Seiichi, who wonders if he is the true monster after seeing the destruction caused by his attack. He looks at the items dropped by the slime, which are a pair of boots and some odd skills. He gives the boots to Saria, who has nothing to wear, and learns the skills himself. Just then he also levels up, which levels up his other skills as well, which are disguise and some other odd skills. His helmet also starts to shine brighter than Dwayne Johnson's forehead under sunlight and transforms into a robe. He picks up the robe as well as a letter nearby, which is from our haughty Mr. Sheep, who tells Seiichi that he must have leveled up, which leveled up his skills too. So that's why his helmet leveled up as well into a robe, so he can have a better time integrating into society. After explaining everything to Seiichi, the note explodes, leaving behind a cloud of smoke and dust. After ordaining the robe, Seiichi heads to the city with Saria, who is pleased after wearing her boots. At the city front, Seiichi is stopped by the guard who asks them to show their identification ID. However, Seiichi makes an excuse that he lost it and will issue a new one in the city. The guard tells them that it's fine and they just need to verify their statement as he makes them put their hands on the orb of truth. Our duo puts their hand on the orb and the result comes out true, which gives them the pass to enter the city. The guard introduces himself as Claude and advises them that they better not head to the guild as it's too weird. Seiichi doesn't take his warning seriously as he doesn't know how weird can be any more weirder when they are already in a nice guy anime. In the city, Seiichi is surprised to see the bustling atmosphere, which gives him positive vibes as he makes his way to the Adventurers Guild. He opens the door to find a woman doing wild things with a man. He quickly closes the door and is about to leave when he is stopped by a muscular man who brings them inside to have them registered after learning their purpose. The wild woman also transforms into a cute girl and introduces herself as the receptionist of the guild. The muscular man also introduces himself to be the guild master and has Seiichi and Saria register themselves. Seiichi doesn't know whether to register or not, but after Saria insists on him as well, he finally gives in and registers himself. While he is signing the contract, a trio comes up to him and acts like they are some big shots. Seiichi smiles as he asks Saria to stay behind as he heads outside with him. The trio takes him to their boss, who asks Seiichi to show his face properly. Seiichi removes his hood, which shows his handsome face. The boss is immediately aroused by his handsome face and asks Seiichi if he wants to have hot steamy sex with him. Seiichi was shocked after hearing his offer as he had already expected a sword battle before coming here, but not this one. He immediately tries to escape, but the gang chases after him as they promise Seiichi that it will be very fun and that he will surely enjoy it. After barely escaping those weirdos, Seiichi returns to the guild where the guild master and the Miss Receptionist are shocked to see Seiichi fine. Seiichi begs them to take care of that gang, but Mr. Muscles assures him that they are not hurting anyone. Seiichi doesn't know how to defend his point as he just gives up. The guild master then tells Seiichi that to become a member he needs to clear the test by doing some odd jobs. However, he assures him that the jobs will be easy and that he will be provided with a caretaker adventurer who will at least be ranked to make sure they are fine. Just then a hot chocolatey woman enters the guild, which destroys all the racism inside Seiichi's body as he looks at her beautiful round and big melons and enticing figure. Saria gets jealous and asks him to close his mouth, which is drooling everywhere. The guild master assigns the chocolatey woman to be their caretaker as they receive their 3 tasks. The chocolatey woman, who is known as Altria, begs to differ as she tells them she doesn't need to babysit some children, but after being insisted by the guild master, she accepts the task begrudgingly. The first task is to help some orphans, which is accepted by Saria, who likes children. The second task is to demolish an old building, which both Altria and Seiichi take as they head to the site. Seiichi is checking the sturdiness of the building when it falls on him. Altria becomes shocked and tries to find him inside the rubble when she starts to cry and blame herself for being cursed, and every person who makes contact with her suffers from calamities too. Just when she is blaming herself, Seiichi appears out of the rubble unharmed, which makes Altria glad that he is fine. She warns him to not head straight into things like it when there is a danger present. Seiichi realizes that even though Altria looks tough, in reality, she is very kind. After taking care of all the jobs, the group heads back to the guild and officially gets registered. The guild master asks if they have an inn to stay the night, but Seiichi tells him that they will probably camp somewhere outside. Just then Altria enters the guild and asks them if they want to stay over at the inn that she is staying in. Seiichi and Saria have no way of denying her request. Altria is happy and immediately leads them to the inn. The following day, Altria takes them to do another task, which is outside the city. She asks them to gather 10 medicinal herbs growing around the area and give them back to her. Seiichi can't believe that it's that easy and immediately heads to the forest to gather it. Altria wants to stop him, but Seiichi is too fast and disappears from her view in an instant. Altria can't help but smile after seeing his excitement, but quickly retracts it as she can't believe that she is smiling and fears that it might cause her to cause more casualties. After a while, Saria returns and gives the 10 medicinal herbs to Altria, who praises her for doing it as she just told her. Meanwhile, Seiichi returns with rare mushrooms instead of the common medicinal herbs that she asked him to bring. Seiichi tells her that he can't find it anywhere, so Altria informs him that it's right behind his feet. Seiichi gets excited and immediately pulls out them, but they are only 5 and he needed 10 for the mission. Seiichi once again runs off into the forest to get the remaining ones, which make Altria sigh as she looks at his dumbass once again running into the forest. In the forest, Seiichi is having a hard time finding the common herbs, and instead, he keeps on finding rare ones. Meanwhile, he is looking for herbs, and a group of demons is planning a plan to capture some humans. They are doing it for their master, whose name is Leia. According to the demons, she is extremely fearful, so they don't want to anger her. They hug each other before encouraging themselves to complete the plan and head back to the demon realm to live their happy lives with their families once again. However, Seiichi happens to hear them talking about their plan, but he doesn't understand one bit of it, and instead, he just wants to ask them about herbs. But the demons mistake his presence for being a human spy, so they want to eradicate him so he won't destroy their foolproof plan. So to defeat Seiichi, they summon their giant demon to fight Seiichi, but Seiichi swiftly defeats them, causing them to run away in fear. Seiichi doesn't know if he did anything wrong, as he just wanted to ask them about the medicinal herbs. He doesn't pay any heed to them and returns to Altria with only rare herbs in his hands. Altria is disappointed in him, but after seeing his crying face, her heart melts, so she gives 5 of her herbs to him. Seiichi immediately starts to praise her kindness, which makes her blush. Meanwhile, in the demon realm, the demon group is about to get punished by Leia, when the leader in front of them informs Leia that even though they failed the mission, they were successfully able to put teleportation spells all around them, so in the future if someone is caught in the trap, they would be teleported to the Black Dragon God dungeon. The name of the Black Dragon God is enough to make Leia frightened, as she smiles in amusement as she imagines the fate of poor humans who will get stuck in that monster's dungeon. However, this doesn't mean that she will forgive her minions this easily, as she summons her whip and decides to whip their asses 500 times each. The following day, Altria takes the group on another mission when they happen to meet Claude. Claude is happy to see them again, as he asks them if they did join the guild. The group answers yes, and Claude is praying for their future but stops when he finds that Altria chose to become their caretaker adventurer. Claude reminds the duo that Altria is a very kind girl and hopes that they will take care of her in the future. The group heads to the plains, where Altria gives them their final task, which is to hunt 10 slimes. She asks them to showcase their skills as Saria punches rapidly in the air, but it's too fast for Altria to see, so she believes that it's just normal punches. Just then 3 slimes appear in front of them, as Seiichi immediately summons his sword and jumps high to attack it, but magically the slime disappears, which leaves them baffled. Altria immediately cancels the assessment and informs them it might be a trap. After confirming it, she informs them that it's a teleportation spell and reminds them to be careful and walk behind her. But Altria, being unlucky, immediately steps on a teleportation trap and is about to get teleported when Seiichi and Saria join her too. They all get transported to a dungeon where Altria gets angry at them for coming with her. However, Seiichi and Saria mention that she is their dear friend and that they will never abandon her. Altria immediately blushes and can't help but feel giddy inside. She asks Seiichi and Saria to remain on their toes and even gives them guiding stones that will guide them to each other, and if it glows red, that means that the person is in danger. After saying this, she is about to move ahead, but she accidentally presses on a trap which creates a wall between her and the duo, which separates them. Seiichi tries to destroy the wall, but it's too sturdy and his hand hurts. Meanwhile, Altria tries the same but gives up as nothing happens. Instead, she tries to navigate through the dungeon to find them. While Altria is getting her ass beaten up by the mobs in the dungeon, Seiichi and Saria navigate their way through the dungeon and happen to find themselves in the room with a treasure chest. Having played too many Dark Souls type games, Seiichi knows that it's a mimic and doesn't want to touch it, but Saria is like Frieren, who can't help but gamble her odds. Just like Frieren, her odds aren't that great either, and the chest turns out to be mimic after all. Seiichi saves Saria by defeating the mimic, which drops the actual treasure chest, in which Seiichi finds some skills, a fantasy grade ring that multiplies the user's luck by -2. And a book that informs him of the past of the mimic, which is kind of sad. The mimic was a treasure chest that gained sentience and learned magic, but it faced racism from humans, so it turned evil against them. On the other hand, Altria is gravely injured when she finds herself in the Black Dragon's boss room. The dragon is too strong for Altria, as she gets her ass beaten by him. The dragon has been craving humans for so long, and Altria's meat looks juicy and tender. Seiichi and Saria are exploring other rooms when suddenly the guidance stone starts to shine red. They realize that Altria is in danger, as the guidance stone informs them that she is behind the wall of the room in which they are currently. Seiichi tries to destroy the wall in anger, and even though there is some damage this time, his fists hurt like crazy. However, he continues to punch it till it crumbles so he can save Altria. Meanwhile, Altria is on her last legs, so she decides to use her ultimate form, which is the Calamity Unleashed, as she starts to crazily attack the Black Dragon. However, she is still too weak and gets pierced by his tail. After being skewered, the dragon wants to roast her till she is medium rare, but fortunately, Seiichi and Saria come to save her. Altria opens her eyes and finds Seiichi and Saria in front of her. She asks them how they got there, so they explain that they detected that she was in danger, so Seiichi destroyed the walls to enter the room. Seiichi asks Saria to take care of Saria and feed her a high-grade recovery potion, as he summons his sword and he prepares to take on the evil dragon that hurt his favorite chocolate melons. The dragon notices that there are even more humans in his room and gets extremely angry. He tells them that humans are pesky insects who keep on disturbing him. In anger, he attacks Seiichi, who uses instant movement skills to dodge his attacks. However, the black dragon is also very experienced in combat and is easily able to push back Seiichi whenever he tries to get close to him. Seiichi is shocked to learn that the dragon is so wrong and can't help but use his appraisal skill to check his level. Even though he expected the dragon to be high level, he didn't expect him to be level 5000. This is thrice more than the level of Xenos whom he fought last time. Seiichi gets serious as well and he starts to use strategy to defeat him, but the black dragon is very cunning and can see through every last bit of his schemes. However, he is getting angry at Seiichi for being a pesky incest and decides to use his most powerful spell, Hell Inferno, which will summon flames from hell to burn them. Fortunately, Saria reminds Seiichi of his waterfall skill, which he uses to summon water from the sky, which makes Black Dragon's skill useless. Seiichi uses the opportunity to unleash his ultimate attack on the dragon and can defeat it after learning the ultimate skill, one with a sword. The Black Dragon drops a chest that contains his bones and stuff, as well as a gem that grants Seiichi magical affinity to all elements. He also acquires the spatial magic, which will help them get out of this dungeon. Aside from this, he also gets a robe which will substitute for his previous robe that got burned, and a book that contains the past of the dragon and his reason for hating humans so much. In the book, the Black Dragon God was a deity and a guardian of the humans, but humans wanted to slay him to use his body to craft a powerful artifact, so they fought against him. The Black Dragon was then saved by the Demon Lord, who took him under his protection, but he was killed by the hero. So the Black Dragon God was once again captured and put into the dungeon. Seiichi cries after learning the history of the Black Dragon God and finds his hatred for humans to be justified. Just then Mr. Sheep appears too and tells Seiichi that there was a hidden condition to clear this dungeon, but he failed, which is a big shame, but he cleared it nonetheless, which is enough for him. He also suggests Seiichi not clear any dungeons for some time in the future as he is on vacation. Saying this, he leaves as usual, which makes Seiichi angry at this useless sheep who always makes matters worse for him. Anyway, they have nothing to do here anymore, so Seiichi takes Altria in his arms, who is still unconscious, and uses his newly found spatial magic to teleport back to the city. They are walking towards the city when Altria wakes up and starts to punch Seiichi as she asks him to put her down. However, Seiichi is enjoying the sensation of her soft body, so he makes an excuse that she is too low on stamina and that she should continue to rest. The group heads to the guild, where the guildmaster and Miss Receptionist are happy that they are safe. They even put missing posters for them, which makes Altria and the group very happy. However, Altria feels that she is the root of all problems and starts to cry. The group consoles her that she is their precious friend and an important asset to the guild. However, Altria still runs away while crying, so Saria encourages Seiichi to run after her. Seiichi finds Altria at the ruins where they did their first mission and finds her crying all alone. Altria tells Seiichi to leave as she fears that he will suffer even more due to her negative luck. She shows him her luck, which has been negative 2 million ever since she was born. However, Seiichi just hugs her from behind and calms her down. After she is calmed down, he pulls out the ring that he got from the mimic and makes Altria wear it, as he informs her that now her luck will be multiplied and she will have positive 4 million luck. He also tells her to find happiness and assures her that he will always be there for her. Altria mistakes this for a proposal and runs away in embarrassment. At first, Seiichi is confused, but then he remembers his words and can't help but feel embarrassed. He wants to clear the misunderstanding, but he lets her imagine it as long as it makes her happy. Meanwhile, Altria can't control her heartbeat as she keeps on imagining her future with Seiichi, where they will have tens of children and live in a big villa far from the city. The following morning, Seiichi is having breakfast with Saria when he informs her that Altria has been avoiding her ever since tomorrow. He saw her in the morning and went to greet her, but she ran away after seeing him. He wonders if she hates him. However, Saria assures him that Altria won't ever hate him and that there must be something else. Seiichi thanks Saria for helping him as he tells her that he will be away to look for some information. Saria informs him that she will also be busy doing a few quests at the church. After having breakfast, Seiichi heads to the guild to ask the guildmaster for information, to which he hands out to him his favorite collection of gym magazines. Seiichi reminds him that he isn't interested in muscles. So this time he asks Miss Receptionist, who hands out to him her favorite BDSM magazines, which Seiichi wants to browse through, but now isn't the right time. The guildmaster laughs aloud after seeing Seiichi's hopelessness and mentions that they were just having some fun with him. He asks Seiichi to ask anything he wants, to which he asks them if anything happened recently in nearby empires. The guildmaster thinks hard for a while before answering that there is one nearby country that performed the hero summoning ceremony and summoned a bunch of heroes to defeat the demon lord. Seiichi was excited as this was what he just wanted to know. He asks them if there is anything else, to which the guildmaster replies that he can head to the royal library to learn more about the hero and other stuff. He takes out the map of the library from his sweaty underwear and gives it to Seiichi, who is thinking whether to puke or punch the guildmaster in the face. Meanwhile, in the Kaiser country, The king is getting angry at his trusted right hand Helio as he asks him about the summoned students. Helio informs the king that students are still under training, but the swordmaster isn't allowing them to head to the battlefield to get real experience. He also informs the king that the people of the country demanded the heroes to fight monsters to train, but it was also rejected by the swordmaster. The king is angry and asks Helio if there is anything that they can do. Helio recommends the king send the students to a magic academy to learn about magic, and this way they will escape the protection of the swordmaster as well. He also suggests enslaving them with the enslavement chains so they will remain loyal to them. On the other hand, Seiichi is at the royal library as he goes through different records of the hero and demon lord, in which the demon lord is always shown to be evil. However, after learning about the Black Dragon's past, Seiichi knows that's not the case. He sets aside the history books and decides to focus on magic instead. He goes through the magic books, which grants him all the elemental magic and their highest levels. He even gets the skill of magic creation as well as magic enchantment and enhancement, etc. He is sick of automatically learning the skills and wants to go back to being a normal boy. After cursing his abilities for a while, Seiichi heads to the market to find interesting stuff when he happens to pass by a young girl with animal ears. This awakens the furry inside his heart as he makes his way towards the young girl and finds that she is an artist. He buys a picture from the young girl, which makes her very happy as no one has ever bought a picture from her before. Seiichi is about to head back when he smells something delicious and walks into the dark alley. There he finds a cafe in which an old man is serving coffee to a blonde man. He sits at the table and orders food for himself. The old man gives him the food, which tastes heavenly as Seiichi keeps praising it. The blonde man laughs out loud and introduces himself to Seiichi as Ranzerf and the old man to be Nord. Seiichi also introduces himself, which makes Ranzerf wonder if he is from Eastern nations as his name doesn't sound local. Seiichi didn't expect there to be name distinctions in this world as well, so he just laughs and replies yes. Ranzerf then asks if he must be a strong warrior as Eastern nations are known for their warriors. Seiichi smiles weirdly as he mentions that he's just an ordinary adventurer. Meanwhile, Altria, who is confused by her feelings, asks her friend Adriana about it. Adriana tells her that she's in love. Altria is shocked and can't believe that she is in love, so Adriana asks her how can she not fall in love when Seiichi wears the ring on her finger, which is also known as the Eternal Vow. Altria thinks to herself about the last evening and can't help but blush. She asks Adriana how she can show her feelings to Seiichi, to which Adriana winks and tells her to just follow her plan. On the other hand, Seiichi asks the same thing from Ranzerf and Nord, who tells them that the ring that he wore on Altria's finger is considered an eternal vow, and that if he were to break it, he would probably get executed if not castrated. Seiichi becomes shocked and doesn't know how to handle this. He also has Saria, but the Ranzerf just tells him to marry both as it's not that uncommon in this country. Seiichi doesn't know how to thank them, so he just leaves to find Altria to clear the misunderstanding. He heads to the church where Altria is most of the time, but midway he gets cold feet and decides to do it tomorrow. However, fate wanted them to finish this matter today, as Altria pops out of nowhere and stands in front of him. Seiichi wants to say something, but before he can speak, Altria seals his mouth with her lips. Seiichi becomes shocked and doesn't know how to handle this. Altria tells him that she knows that he has Saria with him, but she still falls in love with him, and whenever she sees him she feels pain in her chest and can't help but fall in love with him even more. At that time, Saria also appears from behind the door and tells Seiichi to accept Altria, and that she doesn't mind him having more females. Seiichi forgot that Saria is a gorilla and that they don't have any rules like monogamy, so he accepts Altria and kisses her back. Everyone congratulates the trio and wishes them the best of luck for the future. The following day, the group is having breakfast at the guild when the guild master keeps doing backshots in front of them, which gets too taxing for them to watch while eating food. Seiichi asks him to stop, which only leads the guild master to ask Seiichi if he owns a horse. Seiichi answers that he never needed one, so he never bought it. But the guild master tells Seiichi that horses are men's best companions and would take care of them their whole lives. He starts to yap about the greatness of owning horses for an adventurer till eventually Seiichi is forced to agree to buy a horse. Hearing his response, the guildmaster immediately becomes happy and takes out the map of the horse stable from his secret stash and gives it to Seiichi, who wants to beat him up very badly. After breakfast, Seiichi heads to the horse stable all alone as Saria and Altria have some stuff to do. Although the map is very confusing, Seiichi somehow manages to arrive at the horse stable. The boss welcomes Seiichi and asks him if he is going to participate in the Royal Cup as well. Seiichi is confused and asks what's a Royal Cup, so the boss tells him that it's a horse race where everything is allowed from fighting to just racing. Seiichi tells him that he has no plan of doing so and that he just wants to buy a horse. The boss man shows him his first horse, which is a dragon horse. Afterwards, he shows him deer horses, which not only look funny but are also extremely fragile, and they end up dying just from breathing air. After these jokes about a horse, he shows him a horse that doesn't even look like one, as it's a donkey. However, the boss suggests Seiichi to not buy it as it's very wild. The donkey seems to understand him and starts to beat him up. Seiichi realizes that the horse is speaking and tries to understand it when he gets the comprehensive language skill which allows him to understand every language. He asks the donkey to calm down, who is shocked that Seiichi can understand it. The donkey asks Seiichi to enter its horse pen and wants to kick him, but Seiichi makes a joke of it which causes it to summon. The donkey is a female whose name is Lulun. Seiichi buys Lulun and takes her back home. On their way back home, Lulun smells delicious food and asks her master to buy some for her. Seiichi buys a lot of food for Lulun and feeds her, which makes her very happy that she got such a caring master. They are walking in the market when they find the same young girl with animal ears who seems to be in a pinch. Seiichi heads to the young girl whom the young man in front of her calls Mei. He tries to persuade Mei into entering the painting competition. Mei rejects her offer every time. Mei notices Seiichi and immediately greets him, which makes the boy wonder about their relationship. Mei tells the young boy that Seiichi bought her painting before, which makes the boy happy as he asks Seiichi if he likes art. Seiichi tells him that he doesn't like art, which makes the young boy happy. He introduces himself to be Clay and tells Seiichi that he is an artist as well. He asks Seiichi to persuade Mei to participate in the competition. Seiichi thinks of an idea and tells Mei that if she participates in the painting competition, then he will participate in the Horse Royal Cup as well. Clay is surprised that Seiichi will participate in the competition and tells him about the rewards. He informs Seiichi that the reward for 5th place is a giant fish which is said to taste heavenly. This makes both Seiichi and Lulun's mouths drool as they decide to participate for sure. Mei wants to stop him as it's too dangerous, but Seiichi tells her to just drink Mountain Dew and overcome her fear. On the day of the Royal Cup, Seiichi and the other contestants are excited as the announcer of the festival introduces herself to be Lorna, one of the Valkyries of the country. Afterward, she proceeds to tell the rewards, which in second place are pictures of the most famous Valkyrie, Louise, and the first prize is a date with Louise herself. All the contestants and the audience become hyped up except for Seiichi and Lulun, who only want the giant fish. The race commences as every horse runs at extremely fast speed. Everyone is far into the game except Seiichi, whose donkey is still walking slow as a turtle. Seiichi asks Lulun why she is traveling so slowly, to which Lulun answers that she was so excited about the giant fish that she forgot to eat breakfast. Seiichi doesn't know how to handle this situation, but he remembers that there was something to eat inside his inventory. After looking through it, he can find a set of fruits of evolution which he feeds to Lulun. Meanwhile, the horse race is proceeding as usual but comes to a halt when one of the contenders summons a lot of monster wolves to make life difficult for other contenders. Even the announcer is shocked as this has never happened before. Just when they thought that the female contender would win, Seiichi and Lulun came running at full pace as they left everyone behind and even easily killed all the monsters. The announcer announces them to be the winner when they finally realize that they messed up. Their goal was to win the fish, not the date with some celebrity from the country. Lulun starts to cry, but Seiichi assures her that there must be more delicious food out there in the world. Lulun finally calms down and hugs Seiichi when suddenly she starts to glow brighter and transforms into a beautiful hot woman with 2 big nukes. Seiichi can't absorb the scene and falls unconscious from all the nosebleeds. At that same moment, Altria and Saria happen to walk into the room as well. Altria becomes mad at Seiichi for being caught in such an indecent act when he has 2 beautiful wives at home. She punches him hard on the head as the loud noise of a crack is heard. Seiichi tries to explain to Altria that Lulun is the donkey that he bought, who just transformed into a human after consuming the fruits of evolution. Altria doesn't believe his lying ass one bit and proceeds to beat him up, but Saria assures him that Seiichi is telling the truth as she transforms back into her gorilla form to showcase his honesty. Altria's whole world is flipped upside down as she tries to digest all of this information. After taking a deep breath, she grabs Lulun and takes her with her. At the clothing store, Altria buys some decent clothes for Lulun, which makes her look even cuter. While the group is busy praising Lulun's cuteness, Valkyrie Lorna and her partner Valkyrie Claudia enter the room to apprehend Seiichi. They put magical handcuffs on Seiichi's arms and take him away. At the Demon Realm, all the captains of the Demon Lord army are gathered together for a meeting. Leia of the 3rd Division enters the room and introduces herself to everyone. Zalua of the 3rd Division asks Lyretta of the 4th Division when the meeting will start, as he is getting quite bored waiting here. However, Zelos of the 1st Division suggests Zalua calm down as this meeting is organized by none other than Lucia. If he acts the way he is acting right now, this will affect Her Majesty Lucia's status. Jade of the Penalty Division asks them both to calm down and not take action against each other, or they will suffer punishment instead. Meanwhile, Eurus of the 5th Division is angry at Leia for showing up late. Lyretta takes Eurus's side as well, and she asks her the same question. Just then Lucia, who is the daughter of the Demon Lord, enters the room. She thanks everyone for receiving her call and arriving at the meeting. Kraze, who is the Demon Lord's side, also stands up as he welcomes Lucia inside. Lucia asks him not to always lick her balls and that she won't raise her importance no matter what. She sits at her chair and informs everyone that her goal of calling everyone here is to announce that she will be making an alliance with the Wimberg Kingdom and that she needs their opinion. This shocks everyone, especially Craze, who asks Lucia if she is in her right mind. He can't believe that she would think of allying with humans, the same humans who sealed her father and made demons suffer persecution for years. Lucia doesn't say anything and instead lets everyone speak. Leia stands up as she tells everyone that there is a human named Seiichi who defeated the Black Dragon God all on his own, and currently he seems to be staying at the Wimberg Kingdom as well. This shocks everyone even more, as the Black Dragon God was the second strongest person in the demon realm and only the Demon Lord was stronger than him. She informs them that she contacted the Black Dragon God souls through forbidden magic, and he told her the name of the human and how he defeated him fair and square. Even though everyone is having a hard time believing what happened, they know that Leia has no reason to lie. After hearing such shocking news, they have no problem accepting Lucia's idea. However, Craze is angry at them for being so gullible and leaves the room in anger. Meanwhile, all the other captains are busy planning the alliance. Craze plans on ways to disrupt it as he starts to become even more crazy. Back in the human realm, Claudia and Lorna take Seiichi to the royal castle where they uncuff him. They take him to the fighting dojo where the first Valkyrie, Louise, is training with a bunch of sword pupils. However, they are too weak in front of her and are easily defeated by her few moves. Seiichi is shocked to see her strength, as he couldn't even predict her moves despite having a sixth sense. After defeating all the girls, she gives them a few pointers and then comes towards Seiichi to confirm if he is Seiichi. After introducing each other, she throws the wooden sword towards Seiichi and asks him to fight her. Seiichi is confused as this is all very sudden and doesn't know how to respond, but Louise assures him that it's just a mock battle with wooden swords. Meanwhile, all the students from Seiichi's school who were training in the Kaiser country for 5 months are finally brought to the Magic Academy to get some real training in fighting monsters. Karen is also there with her group when she is confronted by a few dudes from their schools who seem to have a beef against her. One of them tries to push her into the corner but ends up getting slapped in the face. This makes his group very angry, but they control themselves and leave. But before that, they give her a warning to beware of the shadows. Back at the training dojo, Seiichi is up against the strongest Valkyrie of the Wimberg Kingdom. Despite having a lot of skills and such high stats, Seiichi still struggles against her. Their fight goes on for a while as Seiichi is constantly pushed back by this sword princess whose every move is graceful like a blooming rose in the sea of flowers. But after learning some new skills mid-fight which gives him an advantage against Louise, he can defeat her fair and square. Lorna and Claudia are shocked to see the undefeated princess getting defeated in a sword battle. Before they can do or say anything, Louise kneels in front of Seiichi and begs him to become her master. Seiichi doesn't know how to respond to her request, but Louise assumes his silence as a yes and becomes happy. Lorna and Claudia are also happy for Louise, as throughout her childhood she was lonely due to being too powerful. Now that she has finally been defeated, it would help her have more friends. While they are having this wholesome moment, a few maids scream and call for help. The maid informs Louise that the king was attacked as they point towards his room. Claudia and others ask Seiichi to head back home as they can't let an outsider interfere in this one. After ordering him, they run towards the king's room. However, this isn't to stop Seiichi, as he uses his newfound vision skill to map the whole castle and finds the assassin, who seems to be a young child. After using his appraisal skill, Seiichi learns her name, which is Origa, and her age, which is 8 years old, even less than what he predicted. He doesn't understand why such a girl is an assassin, but he realizes that the girl's status in the appraisal skill is enslaved, which raises many questions in his mind. Origa is trying to escape, but she gets caught by Seiichi and gets shocked as she has never been caught before in her life. But now her identity is leaked, so she has no option but to finish Seiichi. She throws her ninja knives at Seiichi, but he is easily able to catch them between his fingers. However, his reflexive skill gets activated, which shoots the 2 ninja knives back at her. Fortunately, Seiichi can change the direction and they only hit her robe as she gets suspended in the air against the wall. However, she still manages to free herself and attacks Seiichi, but her movements are too slow in his eyes and he is easily able to knock her out. He holds her in his arms and thinks to himself as to what could force a young girl like her to become an assassin. While he is lost in his thoughts, Louise and others arrive after hearing the commotion and ask him who the girl is in his arms. Seiichi tells the whole story, but the girls still struggle to accept that such a young child can be a skilled assassin. However, Seiichi assures them that he is having difficulty as well. Instead of focusing on the girl, he asks them about the king, to which all the girls become gloomy and tell him that the king has fallen into eternal slumber due to the curse that was placed on the dagger in the young girl's hand. Seiichi remarks that he can help the king heal as he knows some magic. The girl gets excited and immediately takes him to the king. In the king's bedroom, Seiichi finds out that the king is none other than Ranzerf, whom he met at that hidden cafe. He hopes that he won't talk impolitely to the king or he might get executed later on. While he is contemplating, another guy arrives in the room whom Louise introduces as her big brother, Florio. Florio is the leading healer of the country, so that's why they are suspicious of whether Seiichi can heal the king or not. However, Seiichi assures them that he will heal the king as he knows him as well. This comes out as a shock to everyone, which makes Louise even more proud of her master. Although Seiichi has promised them that he will heal the king, he has no magic in his possession, which is helpful against the curses. However, he recently acquired the magic creation skill, which can help him in creating a magic dedicated to erasing curses like eternal slumber. He focuses his magic creation skill on the king, but to create anything, he has to imagine it first. But when he focuses his mind on imagining stuff, only erotic things come to his mind. At that moment, he wished that he hadn't read too many erotic magazines. However, the pressure of the moment helps in getting back to his position as he starts to imagine the king getting better again and again in his mind till eventually he hears notification from the system which tells him that the skill to get better has been created. This skill converts eternal slumber into eternal health as Ranzerf wakes up in complete health. He is surprised to see Seiichi here as his people inform him that Seiichi is the person who healed him. Ranzerf is surprised and asks Seiichi to ask him for anything, as saving his life is nothing less than saving the lives of the entire nation. Seiichi requests the king to allow him to teach Louise at the training dojo, which is a small request, so Ranzerf allows him without hesitation. Meanwhile, at the Magic Academy, all the students are training hard, but for some reason, they also feel persecuted by the academy. Karen was the president of the student council, so she felt the need to take care of everyone. She asks her fellow group members if they know anything, but they don't know either. They are thinking of doing something when they are confronted by the evil trio once again, who informs them that they are the reason behind everyone's persecution. They tell her that Helio gave them these magic cuffs which allowed them to unleash their hidden talents. That's why they were able to learn all the magic very easily and became favorites in the academy. Back at Seiichi's side, Ranzerf are taking a bath in the royal bath of the royal palace, where he tells him about his dream of creating public baths everywhere in his eyes. In the bath, the people are truly naked in front of each other and don't feel ashamed of anything. There are no races and colors in the bath as everyone is equal, which is the biggest dream. Meanwhile, on the girls' side, the three Valkyries discuss how heroic Seiichi is, especially when he asks Ranzerf to allow him to teach Louise when he could ask for any treasure. On the other hand, Saria and the others are also having a bath together, as they can't help but feel worried about Seiichi. They don't worry for his safety, but that he might end up bringing back even more women. Saria isn't against this, but as a human, Altria can't help but feel jealousy. At the Kaiser's Kingdom Royal Palace, Zakia the Swordmaster asks for the king's audience as he questions him about the students being sent to the Magic Academy. The king tells him that the students are his subjects, so it's his choice wherever he sends them. However, Zakia tells the king that they are just children, but Helio tells him to respect the king's opinion, otherwise he will be executed for treason. The king asks Helio to stop and assures Zakia that the students will grow stronger in the academy and will be able to fight the demon lord. However, Zakia asks the king if he doesn't fear their betrayal, but Helio tells him that he has already enslaved them using the enslavement handcuffs, so there is no chance of them being able to betray the country. Zakia gets angry at the king and is about to say something when suddenly an arrow shoots towards the king from the window, but Zakia deflects it before it can hit the king. The king immediately orders Zakia to catch the assassin. Zakia follows the command and chases after the assassin, who seems to have disappeared into thin air. After Zakia leaves, Helio tells the king that the Wimberg Kingdom is planning to ally with the Demon Lord's daughter Lucia. The king is shocked, but then immediately smiles as he informs Helio that he sent the deadliest assassin after him and that he won't survive. Back at the royal palace, the girls can't wait for Seiichi and decide to visit him. There, Seiichi introduces them to his new student Louise, which makes Altria angry as she can't believe her suspicion is true. Seeing the four women flock around Seiichi, Florio can't help but praise him. Later, Lorna is in the dungeon where she tortures Origa using the BDSM skills that she learned from the Miss Receptionist herself at the guild. She first strikes her feet to make her confess, but Origa still doesn't speak a word. She then moves to her cruelest torture technique, which is to eat a steamy, delicious bowl of pork cutlet in front of the prisoner. She entices Origa with the smell of the delicious pork before putting it in her mouth. This technique is so cruel that even Louise, who is standing outside, can't bear to watch and immediately asks Lorna to quit her torture, and as punishment, she even forbids her to eat the entire day. She then brings another bowl of pork cutlets and lets the young girl eat her fill. After eating the delicious food, Origa thanks Louise. Louise smiles after seeing her manners and points at the collar on her neck as she explains that it's an enslavement collar that forces the wearer to listen to the command of their master at any cost. Everyone around her feels bad for the young girl as they ask if there is any way to remove this collar. Louise answers that no magic and equipment can destroy the collar, so it's impossible. Origa even demonstrates it, but she still isn't able to break it and instead suffers a punishment. Back at Kaiser Kingdom, the king learns of the failure of the assassination attempt and orders Helio to give an order for Origa's collar to self-destruct. Helio accepts the order and heads outside to do it. Meanwhile, Zakia is training in the forest as he thinks to himself what is the thing that he is training for. He keeps on questioning himself as he thinks of everything that has happened recently. This takes him back to the memory of last night when he finally found the assassin who was targeting the king. He confronts the assassin who introduces himself as Sheen. He also accepts the responsibility of trying to assassinate the king and assures Zakia that he will do it again in the future. Zakia asks Sheen's reason for doing such a thing that will negatively impact the empire, to which Sheen answers that the kingdom is already in chaos under the rule of the current king. However, Zakia still isn't satisfied, so Sheen tells him that he is doing it for revenge. A revenge for a demon that he loved dearly who was killed by the orders of the king just because she was a demon. He hates this kingdom and the king and won't rest till he can avenge his lover. Although Zakia is emotionally hurt by Sheen's story as the king's blade, he has no option but to fight him. However, Sheen has also come prepared as he launches arrows at him from all directions. Some even manage to injure Zakia, but he is too powerful to go down this way and instead easily fights against Sheen. Sheen understands that he won't be able to win against Zakia, so he escapes while promising to come back in the future. He also hopes Zakia will be able to gain his freedom and not be a puppet anymore. Back to the present time, Seiichi is trying his best to create magic to free Origa, but nothing comes to his mind. Under the heated eyes of everyone around him, he focuses even harder when eventually an idea comes to his mind. Who was the person in history who fought hard to free the slaves? The only person that comes to mind is President Lincoln. He focuses on President Lincoln when suddenly he can create a magic that summons President Lincoln to real life and frees the slaves from their enslavement. The magic works like a charm as Origa is finally free from her enslavement. After being freed, she starts to cry as Saria hugs her to console her. After crying for a while, Origa calms down as she tells everyone about her past to gain their sympathy in hopes of being freed. She tells them that she is a beast girl, and in the Kaiser Kingdom all the beast people suffer serious racism, and some are even put into concentration camps. She was one of those people whose parents were put into concentration camps and they were forced to train day and night to become cruel killers. Out of thousands of children, only a few managed to stay alive and become assassins. They worked for the king to eliminate different people, and their young age made it difficult for anyone to find them suspicious. After telling all of this, Origa starts to cry as she tells them that her hands are filled with blood, but Seiichi assures her that she did nothing wrong. The real evil is the Kaiser Kingdom who forced her to do those crimes. After calming her, Seiichi asks Louise if she can live with them, to which Louise happily agrees as she is sure that he can protect her from the dangers. Meanwhile, Helio is in his room as he talks with Craze through the magic sphere. He asks him how the plan is going on, to which Craze answers that everything will go on smoothly as he shows him a picture of a demon. After seeing it, Helio starts to laugh like crazy and starts chanting "Hail the Great Demon Lord." Craze follows him as well and chants the same sentence. Back at the royal palace, Seiichi is working on his magic control when Louise comes up to him and asks if he can protect the royal palace behind her back. She informs Seiichi that she is going on an expedition at the borders to fight against monsters which have grown a lot compared to before. She will help the Black Paladin Knight who has been fighting alone on the battlefield for some time now. Seiichi promises to her that he will do his best, which puts Louise's mind at rest as she leaves. A few days later, she is finally ready to leave alongside other Valkyries as she says her final farewell to Seiichi before disappearing into the horizon. The following week, Seiichi is still training his magic control when suddenly he receives a new skill named Endless Hell. Seiichi wanted the magic control skill, but he didn't even know how it worked. While he is crying, Florio receives news that the Grandmaster has arrived and he immediately runs off in excitement. Seiichi follows him closely as they finally get to meet the Grandmaster, who is an old crooked man with a staff. But apparently, he is the strongest magician in the world who has mastered all the spells. The Grandmaster introduces himself as Barnabas as he shows enthusiasm in meeting with Seiichi. Seiichi was so busy meeting with Barnabas that he forgot that the Guildmaster and Miss Receptionist were there as well. After greeting each other, they all are summoned to the king's court where they greet Ranzerf. Ranzerf is quite excited to see the Guildmaster and Miss Receptionist as he greets them like old friends. Seiichi didn't know that they were this famous and honestly forgot their reputation. While they are talking, Barnabas enters the court, which surprises Ranzer, so he immediately comes down from his throne out of respect. Seiichi is once again shocked and asks Florio, who informs Seiichi that Barnabas used to be the king's instructor. Seiichi is surprised and starts to believe in Barnabas' reputation as the greatest magician. After greeting his teacher, Ranzerf immediately calls his servants to bring a chair for Barnabas to sit on. After Barnabas is seated, Ranzerf asks him about the Magic Academy. Seiichi doesn't understand what Magic Academy they are talking about, so Florio tells him about the biggest Magic Academy in the world whose principal is none other than Barnabas. Meanwhile, at the Magic Academy, Karen is against a bunch of puppet knights whom she is easily able to defeat using her superior sword techniques. All the students look at her with awe, but there's something unpleasant about their stares which makes her think if it's the doing of the trio. Back at the royal court, Barnabas tells Ranzerf that ever since the heroes came from the other world, it's been quite hectic. Seiichi is intrigued by the word otherworld when suddenly the meeting is interrupted by a soldier who informs Ranzerf that there is a giant monster wave attacking the royal capital. Ranzerf is shocked and asks her how big is that wave, to which the soldier replies that it consists of 5,000 monsters and all of them are boss level. Even Barnabas is shocked after hearing this, but he calms down after remembering that there are Valkyries to deal with this situation. However, Ranzerf regretfully informs him that they are already on the border with Black Paladin to defend against dark forces. At the border, the Valkyries finally arrive to help Black Paladin, who was fighting all alone. After seeing the situation for themselves, the Valkyries are quite shocked. However, Louise increases their morale and leads them into the fight as she is at the forefront. She defeats the enemies using her beautiful techniques, which are as deadly as her beauty. After seeing her head charge into the battle, Lorna and Claudia follow her as well, as they charge without any fear. Meanwhile, Kraze is watching all of this happen from the magic sphere and smiles in joy as he praises his intelligence. He comments how the Valkyries are now busy fighting at the borders, which makes the royal capital vulnerable to attack. He will be able to destroy the Wigmar kingdom before they are even able to ally with the demon lord's daughter Lucia. At the royal capital, Ranzerf gathers whatever troops he has left and leads them to a fight. The Adventurers Guild joins them as well in the war against the monsters. Seiichi and his family are there as well, who are also hyped up to defend their country. Even the newly joined Origa, who just joined, is also eager to contribute to the kingdom for the sake of a head pat from her big brother Seiichi. The battle commences as the monsters arrive in huge quantities. The first one to charge in the battle is the Guildmaster, who uses his muscles to the extreme to showcase the peak potential of mankind. The second one is Miss Receptionist, who uses her BDSM torture techniques to whip all monsters into oblivion. After their fights, Saria jumps in as well alongside Lulun, who is also pumped up to fight. Altria showcases her strength as well, which even attracts the attraction of Barnabas. The little Origa isn't far behind as she uses her deadly techniques to reap the lives of her enemies like slaves picking cotton. Even Barnabas himself shows his ultra-powerful magic, which is enough to change the course of the battle. Just when they thought that victory was in their hands, another wave of monsters appeared from the other side, threatening to destroy the royal capital. The troops try to defend against these monsters, but they are too strong for them. Most of the troops are also very exhausted and can't continue to fight, which worries Seiichi, who uses all of his brain cells to think of a spell to eliminate all the enemies. However, such a great spell will probably engulf the allies too, so Seiichi has to think of a way to only target enemies. After thinking for a while, he decides to create a judgment spell that rains lightning from the sky to kill all the enemies. However, even after summoning the spell, he receives no notification from the system, which makes him think that the spell must have failed. He kneels on the ground in embarrassment, but Barnabas asks him to get up as he notices dark clouds gathering on the battlefield from which lightning strikes the enemies and turns them into oblivion. Seiichi looks at the status effect of the skill and is shocked to see its potential. Soon the whole battlefield is cleared and there are no enemies left. The judgment spell even targets Kraze, who is watching all of this happen in the demon realm. He can't believe that his foolproof plan got destroyed like this. Back at the royal capital, all the experience points come back to Seiichi as he starts to level up like crazy. Seiichi tries to stop it as he doesn't want to become any more of a monster, but he keeps on getting stronger and stronger. The system then asks Seiichi if it can combine all the skills into new stronger skills, and at this point, Seiichi doesn't even want to deal with it and let it do whatever it wants. Meanwhile, Ranzerf thanks Seiichi for saving the royal capital and asks him to keep on defending it in the future as well. Saying this, he leaves to check on the city walls as well as the soldiers. After he leaves, all the girls swarm towards Seiichi and praise him till the end. They have never seen such a grandiose spell ever before and are happy that they won without any casualties. Origa asks for her head, so Seiichi rewards her. This makes Barnabas ask for a head pat as well, which creeps out Seiichi as he asks him to stop doing weird stuff. Barnabas comes back to his serious self as he requests Seiichi to join his academy as a teacher. Seiichi rejects his offer as he has his family in the city. However, Barnabas offers to give them jobs at the academy too, so this way, they won't have to stay without him. He tells Seiichi that Saria can join as a student. Altria can become a teacher as well. Lulun can become a martial arts teacher, and the young Origa can join as his maid. Seiichi doesn't mind such an offer, so he accepts as the girls give him their consent as well. He informs Barnabas that they will head to the academy after Louise returns from her expedition. During that time, Seiichi takes all the girls on dates one by one. The first one is Lulun, whom he takes to a nice restaurant to eat as much as she wants. The next one is Altria, who comes to his house dressed up in a beautiful hoodie, unlike her usual outfit. They both head to do some shopping first, and after that, they head to watch a movie. The next one is supposed to be Saria, but she wants to go on a date alongside Origa as well. Seiichi doesn't mind having her with them as all three of them go on their date together. While Origa is busy playing with the children, Seiichi confesses his love to Saria and is about to kiss her, but Saria starts to cry out of joy, which causes the children to call Seiichi a bad person for making such a cute girl like her cry. Even Origa joins them in bullying Seiichi, which makes him angry as he takes the ball and starts to play with them as well. One day, Seiichi and the others are busy in their lives as usual when they notice a ship flying right above their head, which showcases the time and venue for the art competition. Seiichi is reminded of his promise with Mei, so he heads to the competition with his family. There he sees Mei present her art piece, a portrait of Seiichi riding Lulun at the Royal Cup competition. She tells everyone that this art piece is named Hero as the person who gave her the courage to move ahead in her life. After winning the competition, Seiichi meets up with Mei, who tells him that she will be leaving for another city to learn art and hopes that after she returns she will be able to paint his portrait. Seiichi gives her permission, which makes her very happy as she leaves. It's been a long time since Louise went on an expedition, so she finally returns. Seiichi welcomes her as she thanks him for protecting the royal city. Seiichi accepts her gratitude and informs her that they will be leaving for the Magic Academy, and he leaves the royal city in her hands. He also asks her to come visit them in the future at the academy. Meanwhile, in the demon realm, Kraze is recovering from the setback as the demon lord's dead spirit asks him to hasten their operations in gathering despair and death for him so he can revive back into this world. Back at the royal capital, Seiichi wishes farewell to everyone as he leaves with his family to the Magic Academy. However, he doesn't know what sort of future is awaiting him, but as long as he has his family by his side, he doesn't fear anything. That's all for today. If you enjoyed our video, give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.